Hello, everyone. Welcome to IMS Connect series again. It's really good to see a lot of people turning up at the Sunday morning, even if it's an off. So ideally today we'll be discussing a lot about business analyst and how you can actually become one. So this will be completely about the roadmap. In this session, I know a lot of people would be very curious about knowing business analyst, data science, all these things which are trending, which are much coveted careers. So today uh, we will be talking more on that front, and I'm very sure that it will help you to take the right steps and grow and will show you the right paths in your career very soon. So a very important thing that once this session is done, you have a very great opportunity where you can have a one-on-one consultation with Jindal Global Business School team. So they will be there to help you along with your parents to have a complete consultation, which is completely free of cost. So today we have Dr. Divya Sharma, who's the professor of Jindal Group, and she is the fellow of IIT Calcutta, and she is the recipient of Satish K. Saigal Doctoral Student Award. She's been working in the industry with some of the giants like IIM Rohtak and all, and she's also a researcher at that front. And she's been working on algorithmic governance, digital inclusion, and recognition. And we will also have Mr. Vikram, who's the director of Jindal Global Business School. And he has delivered more than 300 plus counseling sessions in India, Nepal, and UAE. So I would be eagerly seeing how the session prolongs. I'm really curious and interested to know a lot of things. And over to you, Dr. Divya.
Thank you so much, Viren. You were really kind with your words. Yeah, thanks a lot. So, very warm welcome. Good morning to all the participants whom we have for today's exciting session. First of all, I think I would like to thank IMS for conducting this series because see, otherwise in a non-pandemic situation, typically we had many parents and students come over to the university, look at the infrastructure, talk to faculty, talk to the admissions team, and just see how the facilities are. And we had a more personal one-on-one connect in terms of what kind of a career option would work out, why should somebody take up a particular career stream. Many times students would come up to us and say, I like this, I like doing this, or I am good at this. What do you think are possible ways ahead for me? But unfortunately, in these unprecedented times, those things are not possible. And I am sure that, there is this gap that many of you might be feeling in terms of getting the right information at the right time from trusted sources. So I really want to congratulate IMS for taking up this step for organizing this kind of a series, where even though we are at different places at different times, probably across geographies, but we are still getting the opportunity to connect with each other synchronously. And I think that I'll be very happy to take your questions maybe after I finish my talk. In between also, you can post your questions in the Q&A section, and then Viren can moderate and coordinate the Q&A round. So I'll broadly give you a brief about business analytics. And since I am associated with a business school, I am, I've been working in the domain of management for more than 5 years now. And that does not include my research work. So if I include that, it is almost close to 10 years of association with the domain of management. So I will be talking more from the perspective of taking up business analytics through a BBA route. So if you have any doubts, any confusions, any questions that you want to ask or discuss, I will be very happy to do that for everybody who's present here, both parents and prospective students. So just allow me a minute. I had prepared a very brief slide deck, so I'll share that. All right. So the session, I think, has been very aptly named as a roadmap to be a business analyst. And what I will try to do as part of this session is to give you, a high level, more abstract understanding of what would make you, what you would turn into after you complete an undergraduate program in business analytics, and what kind of capabilities and skills you require to take up such a career trajectory. So if I ask you what the top 10 companies by market capitalization are, I am sure that you would, the companies that you see on screen are the ones that would come to your mind. Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Tesla, Tencent, Apple. Now, if I had asked you the same question, say about 50 years ago, right, the kind of firms that you would have named would have been very different, right? And if you look at the genesis or the origin of all of these companies, they have come up in the last, 10 to 30 years, right? None of these companies would have existed prior to that. So we are seeing an immense shift towards a digital age, where the biggest companies the biggest companies in the world are either tech giants, or in some way they are digitally oriented. So as students who have just completed class 12, or as more worried parents, I am myself a parent, so I can understand what the parents feel. So as a worried parent of somebody who's just completed class 12, the question that often comes to our mind is, what way do we go ahead? So with this kind of a digital transformation that is happening all around us, I am sure like many of you would be attending this session itself on your mobile phones, right? We couldn't have imagined something like this even 10 years ago. So there is there is a complete shift in the way that we lead our day-to-day lives. And you can well imagine what kind of shifts have happened in the domain of business and industry because of the kind of digital revolution that we are seeing all around us. So there is there is data everywhere. In fact, some estimates suggest that the total bytes of data that we have right now are more than the total stars that we see in the cosmos. So you can imagine what the scale of data that surrounds us is, and what companies have realized, what businesses have realized of late, is that this data can be utilized to draw different kinds of insights and understand businesses better, and therefore improve the performance of businesses. So this is the domain of business analytics, and I will be covering a little bit about this in detail a little later. But just to give you a background on why business analytics is becoming such a big deal, right? Why is it becoming such a coveted career option? So I'm sure that you all would have heard of the different industrial revolutions that we have seen since the 17th centuries, right? And we are currently in the fourth industrial revolution, as it is called. So in the previous industrial revolutions, the first two industrial revolutions, there was a shift in the way that job roles were organized, where a lot of manual labor was shifted to technology, right? So what happened to those people who were earlier involved, say in tilling on the farm, or doing some crafts work? All of those people had to get reskilled to take on job roles where they could work on the assembly line, or they could operate steam engines and more electrical machines to perform their works. Right now, with the coming in of the third industrial revolution, where we saw computing technology taking over and a lot of things getting automated, right, digitized as we call it, there again we saw that there was a shift in the job roles that people would typically take up. They had to again reskill, and they now had to be adept and capable of working through computer systems. And I'm sure that, if we have parents here in the session, they are all part of this age where they had to upskill themselves, reskill themselves. Many of them would have, done their graduation in more traditional domains. But then over time, they had to learn the new ways of performing their jobs in a digital form. And now we are in the domain of the fourth industrial revolution, where it is expected that almost everything that every physical object that you can think of will have a data component. It will be, sensors will be installed on those devices, and many different information, many different aspects of the environment will be captured by these sensors and then converted into a digital form on which different kinds of operations would be performed, and a lot of things would get automated. So here again, see, in all the previous industrial revolutions also, we saw the need for reskilling and upskilling, and this industrial revolution is no different. And that is why the more recent trends have been towards improving the cognitive abilities and skills of people. So we are moving towards job scenarios where there is going to be less focus on labor or manual work, right? All mundane tasks or repetitive tasks, as we would earlier do, all those are going to shift to the more the machine-like processing. And what will be left for humans to do would be more advanced thinking, right? So more cognitive roles. So I think this is something that probably the parents here would relate to more, that, if say 15-20 years ago, if once you had graduated, what would be the most, coveted job role for you? So most of us have, in our own times appeared for banking interviews and banking for the banking firms, right? Because the role of a bank teller itself was something which was, if you got a job as a bank teller, it was a big thing. And now if you see how, whether we find it an interesting job role to take, probably not. Why? Because a lot of work that was earlier, and a lot of authority that earlier lay with the bank teller has now been shifted in the backdrop to the automated core banking systems, where there is very little that now the bank teller actually has to do, right? So it is cognitively not a very challenging role, which earlier it was. So we are seeing all of these kinds of shifts, and I think the most important thing is to keep pace with the kind of changes that we are seeing all around us. And I think of all things, the most disruptive event that we have at least seen in our own times is the COVID pandemic that we are currently going through. And this has really disrupted the way that the world worked, the way we lived in our day-to-day lives, the way we worked, right? And it's sort of also been a little tragic in the sense that we've seen so much unemployment happen during this period, a lot of migration happening, and a lot of businesses cutting down on their workforce or completely closing down. So the unemployment levels that we've seen during the pandemic have been even much higher than what we saw in the in our own memory. I think the 2008 collapse that we had was, it had immense repercussions. But the COVID pandemic has actually surpassed that. But what has come as a silver lining for businesses even during the COVID pandemic is the whole digital revolution. So the amount of transformation in terms of digital technology and the use and utilization of digital technology that we have seen during the COVID pandemic, it's something that was never expected. If you asked a company how much time do you need to even turn your normal day-to-day meetings into an online mode, they would typically stay at 24 to 36 months. And when the lockdowns hit most of the countries in March 2020, all these companies were able to make a transition to a digital form in less than 30 days. So the kind of shift that we've seen towards digital, I think COVID-19 is one of the major reasons. And what has happened concomitantly with this kind of a digital shift is the change in the kind of job roles that are now coming up. And so we were seeing this trend happen, I think since the 2015s. Right, since 2015, there was a lot of expectation, a lot of potential people were seeing in domains related to, the upcoming digital economy. Right, so things like data science or cybersecurity or software development, cloud, about all of that, we had a lot of positive, buzz. But with this pandemic, I think that has immensely gone up. And now I'm just quoting figures from a Microsoft report. And they are suggesting that by the year 2025, approximately 20 million jobs in the domain of data science, AI, analytics would come up. Right. So even if you, recently a lot of these job reports have come out, which are also saying that there has been a tremendous increase in the job postings on portals like Naukri.com or Monster.com that are asking for people who are skilled in data analytics and data science. So, and this phenomena is not limited to companies like maybe Google, Facebook, or the IT companies like TCS, Accenture. But it is across the board. All companies these days are asking for talent that is specifically trained in the domains of data analytics. So I've been conversing with many of these FMCG manufacturing companies. And the people who are heading their market research functions are telling that now they are trying to reorganize and reorient the market research functions to market insights and analytics functions. So it's not just the IT consultancies or the typical tech firms that we understand, but companies like, Kellogg's or Bosch or GE, JCB, your e-commerce firms, insurance sector, all of these companies, across the board, you name the company, it's not possible that they are not looking for analytics talent. So, recent research also shows that the number, just by the sheer number of job postings, the non-tech firms have actually beat the tech firms for job roles that involve data science and data analytics. So the potential for growth in this domain of data science and analytics is immense. It is huge. And there's almost, a 50% skill gap that many of the reports suggest. So there was a US report, US Bureau of Labor and Statistics. They had produced a report that said that almost 50% skill gap exists in the domain of analytics, and firms are looking for talent, but there is a huge gap that still requires to be fulfilled. And I think something that most students would be interested to know is that after I complete a degree in analytics, what do I get? Right? So everybody is obviously interested in return on investment. You will be investing in a degree in some good college. So what do you get at the end of it? So this is a very recent Michael Page report, which was quoted in India Today. And they have shown statistics where typical job roles that people would get after pursuing something like a BBA in analytics would be able to get a salary of about 24-25 lakhs just the moment that they have 2 to 3 years of work ex. So you can imagine that the demand is so high that people are willing to actually pay you much higher. So if you are skilled, you are good, you understand the domain, you understand analytics, so then sky is the limit for you. And the salary packages are very, very attractive. In fact, even during the pandemic, when a lot of companies were doing layoffs and there were salary cuts that were announced, in the domain of analytics, the salaries have actually grown. So and that's true for, I think, all technology, all of the IT related technology industries, but analytics itself has actually seen immense increase in salaries and also job postings. So unfortunately or fortunately, the COVID pandemic has actually resulted in a boom in the domain of analytics. So let me just also give a little bit of brief. So everybody, like, we feel that we all understand what analytics is and what business analytics is. But as when we keep discussing with students and parents, I feel that many times there is a lot of confusion as to what business analytics is, and people tend to confuse it with data science or AI and ML. So I thought that let's just lift the veil and try to be clear on what we are getting into if we are deciding to get into a career in business analytics. So the superset here is that of data science. Data science is the mother discipline of business analytics. Data science is a science that is interested in developing different methods, tools, and techniques that enable capturing data, analyzing data, deriving patterns from data, predicting using data, and then also prescribing sometimes using data itself. And different kinds of techniques have been developed, starting from the base for most of these techniques is that of statistics, and on top of that, that has been married with computer science. So we have seen the emergence of natural language processing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all of these are the different techniques that form part of the toolkit of a typical data scientist. But what we need to also understand here is that then what would differentiate data analytics from data science? So data analytics is an applied field within data science. So why even people who are from a computer science background or are doing a BTech in computer science, they can also be working in the domain of data science. But for them, their job will involve producing, developing algorithms, optimizing different kinds of tools and techniques, and overall providing ways in which data analysis can be done. But data analytics is actually the application of all of these tools, techniques, algorithms, and principles of data science to some kind of a question. So data analytics in itself is a very, very applied field. Now that application can happen in any domain. It can happen in the in healthcare, it can happen in the public sector, and it can also happen in business. So business analytics, therefore, is a further subdomain of data analytics, where the domain in which the analytics is applied is that of business. And within business itself, data analytics has immense potential. So a business analyst can be part of, say, a finance team or an HR team. He can be part of a marketing team, can be part of an operations or supply chain team, or can be part of the market research team, or can be part of the overall strategy team. In some of the consulting firms, business analysts many times take up client facing roles and help the client in understanding the intent and the implications that analytics can have for their company. So the business analytics as a domain is basically about applying analytics to business problems and then drawing insights from the whatever is the analytics that has been performed and conveying and communicating it back to the client, right? So therefore, the kind of skills that are required for people who can be business analysts is, number one, to be able to identify problems. right? Because the client will not know, or somebody, even if you're working within a company, you need to be able to understand what is the problem, right? After that, you need to have the skills to be able to identify where the data will come from, on which analytics can be applied to solve the problem. The third is the ability to apply those techniques. In many cases, especially in the larger MNC firms, or the larger firms, even in the analytics consultancy domain, it is not necessary that the business analyst would be performing analysis on data hands-on. There would typically be a more tech vertical that would actually be performing the analysis. But the tech wing will only provide you the raw result of the analysis. So again, that data will come, the insights will come back to the analyst, and he will have to understand what it means for the business. What can now the business do to improve the situation? What is the, so converting that raw result into something that is actionable for the business is something that the analyst will have to do. And therefore, another very, very critical skill that a business analyst should have is that of being able to communicate well, to convince, to negotiate, to explain. So business analysts therefore need to be well-rounded individuals. They are typically they would be taking up managerial roles, right? So it's going to be less of number crunching or statistics that you would be doing as part of your job role. Your role would be more about deriving and drawing insights and converting them into something actionable for the company that you're working for. So now coming to why a BBA in business analytics, right? So many of you would also see other kinds of, allied domains, specifically because, business analytics is something which is so much in demand. So there are, BSc programs. There are also some BCA programs where you can do something in analytics. You can have a specialization. So why should you be doing a BBA and not, some of these other things? And why not a BTech in computer science for that sake? So I thought that, let me just explain how all of these are different. So if you consider any of degrees like BTech or BSc or BCA, right? The focus in most of these degrees is going to be more on the technicalities of analytics, right? So all the tools and techniques that help in doing analytics. So if you're somebody who's probably interested in coding, or who's interested in building these kind of systems, for you, obviously probably a career in business analytics or data science can come from doing a BTech or a BSc or a BCA. But if you're somebody who wants to work at the front end, who wants to help businesses improve their functioning, who wants to help businesses improve their efficiency, you are more interested in trying to solve real life problems, pick up real life business problems and solve them in a data driven manner, then a BBA would make sense for you. So typically the curriculum for a BBA in business analytics involves all the essential aspects of business administration or business management. So all the basics about marketing or operations or finance or accounting and entrepreneurship, strategy, business policy, all these aspects would form part of your curriculum. And in addition to that, you will also gain the ability to use different kinds of tools, different kinds of techniques for performing analytics in a business context. So what differentiates, say, a BBA in business analytics from somebody who has a BSc in business analytics is the understanding of the business domain. You will have very good foundation of and a very good knowledge about the business domain, and specifically in career in business analytics, unless you're able to understand the context well, unless you're able to understand what the problem is and you are able to translate it into data terms for, say, a computer scientist to start working on, you will not be able to succeed in the field otherwise. Right, so that is the so even if you talk to any of the senior HR people or any of the even CXO level people, one thing that they say we are missing in the company is the ability for business analysts to understand the domain, right? And that understanding of domain is something that only a program in business administration would provide you. So therefore, there is, you need to be a little mindful of the specific degree that you opt for, because the focus in all of these degrees is going to be very, very different, right? So I think anybody, so again, one more question, that often comes to us is that what if I'm not very strong in maths, or what if I am not very strong in stats? So one very important thing to understand specifically in the domain of business analytics is that it is an applied field, right? So it's in your job, there are going to be fewer situations where you would actually have to sit down and start doing the number crunching, right? But you always need to have an appreciation for these these disciplines and these subjects. As long as you have an appreciation for data, you have an appreciation for numbers, right, you will be able to manage in the field. There is no doubt about it, right? And most of advantage of a company having a business analyst is their ability to be able to marry the domain of business with the data that the company is capturing. So as long as you have a very good analytical mind, as long as you can think clearly, you can talk clearly, right, you can communicate well, you can express yourself, I think you'll be able to do well in a domain in business analytics, right? So I think there's a lot of scope, there is a lot of need for good talent in the domain of business analytics, and I would really encourage, if you feel that you're somebody who can think well, who can communicate well, and who does not fear numbers and data, absolutely this domain would be meant for you. So I think with that, I'll just I'll close. So thank you so much, Viren, and yeah.
Yeah, so we have few questions, Professor Divya. So Siddhi Oak is asking, what does cognitive skills mean?
Okay, good question. So cognitive skills here basically mean the ability to think, right? So when we talk about problem solving, right, there can be different ways in which problems can be solved. There can be specifically in the domain of psychology, a lot of different ways in which people typically go about solving a problem have been identified. So because we are in a very volatile and uncertain, complex kind of environment, just a simple, the simplistic way of thinking will not always work, right? So you might, in some situations, you might have to take a more systems oriented approach, right, where you have to think of all different aspects related to one another and see how one affects the other. So there's going to be recursive dependence between variables. In other cases, it might just be a very linear way of thinking that will help you solve. So that is the typical way. Mostly we think linearly, right? A leads to B, B leads to C, right? So that is one way, the linear approach. Then there are systems based approaches. Then there are design thinking based approaches. There are complexity based approaches. So a lot of problems are very, very difficult to solve. There are, it's difficult to come up with an answer. They're all, often these kind of problems are often called wicked problems, right? Because they are so difficult to solve. So there are different kinds of approaches for solving those wicked problems, right? So as long as you can think in various different ways, then I think you would not have any difficulty in a career in business analytics. And many of these programs that like the BBA or even some of the advanced BSc programs do equip you with those kind of skills, because you will be specifically, I can speak for a BBA program because that is something that we do. So you are exposed to different kinds of business situations. You are taught through case methods. There's a lot of gameplay that we do in class, and all those exercises are basically meant to help you open the gates of the mind. So those are the kind of cognitive skills that I was referring to.
So we have a question from Anuja Arya. So she's asking that what is the demand for these business analysts abroad?
Immense demand. So all the figures that I was quoting earlier, so that 20 million jobs is the world over. So I think it's not about geography when you talk of business analytics. Most countries, be it Europe or US, all the Nordic countries, in fact, they are the higher paid masters than in India. So there is a lot of analytics consulting, because typically India is known for the BPO industry. That is how we rose in the tertiary sector. So there's a lot of analytics consulting that the Indian firms are doing. So you have all the TCS, Infosys kind of companies, and many new entrants who are specifically oriented to analytics, like Mu Sigma, who have come up, which are providing a lot of consultancy roles for business analysts. So obviously those kind of roles are available in India, and typically you would be able to, depending on your skills, see, this is a very, very competitive industry. Depending on your skills, anywhere between 3 lakh and 12-13 lakhs is what you can expect after doing an undergrad in business analytics. And if you convert these figures into the European market, so typically anywhere around even 8,000 euros is something that you can earn. $2,500 is something very, very normal and usual for business analysts to be earning. So it's across geographies. There's no dearth of analytics jobs, whether it is India or it is abroad.
Okay. So Setu Zaveri have a question. What are the good universities in India, especially in terms of business analytics?
So business analytics these days, at a master's level are getting offered. I'm sure most of you would know that most IIMs are offering, specialized programs in business analytics. There are also some IITs that are, coming up with good analytics programs. And I think the more young universities these days are also, they're quite forward looking and forthcoming when it comes to understanding analytics, as a domain, because it's something that is emerging. It is something that is new. It requires a new kind of mindset. We're not talking about traditionally doing a BTech or a BSc. This is itself a domain where the faculty who teach business analytics have to remain very up to date and very close to industry. So I think some of the new universities also which are coming up are designing specialized BBA programs in business analytics. So I think in India, the important differentiator, I think, is the curriculum. So my suggestion would be that whatever college or university you choose, look at what they are teaching you. Because at the end of the day, even when a recruiter comes, the first thing that they see is your transcripts. What are the courses that you've taken? So any kind of university which is providing you a good hands-on in analytics, I think would be able to provide you also a good job placement. So being the balance between theory and practice is very, very important for business analytics degrees. So look for programs where you have that opportunity to do a lot of hands-on.
So Dinesh Sharda have a question, like what are the prerequisites or the skills required to get into business analytics, and what is the future in terms of, for example, now new technology have come in. So let's say 15 to 20 years down the lane, will something change?
Good question. All right. So let me just first cover the easier question. The first question, what are the skills that you need? So like I was saying, see, as long as you can think well, right? You should be somebody who likes to pick up problems and solve them. And you need to be somebody who's good at identifying problems. As long as you have, so I think being able to identify problems is the most important prerequisite, so to say, that you need to have. In addition to that, again, an appreciation for numbers and data, right? So if I give you an Excel sheet that has 2 lakh records, you should not get scared of that, right? So that those kind of skills, and then most importantly, the ability to communicate well, the ability to articulate well, because mostly these days firms are reporting that the business analysts whom they have hired are unable to express what the analysis reveals. So that is a very, very important skill that I think the industry is looking for, and even their hiring processes are going to change accordingly, where they will now like to see people who can express and communicate very, very well. So I think these are the 3 or 4 important skills that you must have before you think of taking a career in business analytics. And I think now I'll come to the second part of the question. So what changes we see happening? So see, I'm no fortune teller. I really don't know what is in store coming. Say 20-25 years is very long to predict in these times. So, but irrespective, I think the shift is towards digital. We don't know, how long the pandemic itself is going to last. Online is becoming the new normal. So remote business is now business as usual. And even as a lot of companies are now they're opening up in physical form, even schools and colleges are reopening, I think we're going to have a very different format in which we now start even interacting in our peer-to-peer, face-to-face physical setups. So I think digital is here to stay. A lot of interactions that would earlier happen in a physical setup would still get, would still remain in the digital frame. So I think there's no lying that digital is not the way forward. It is going to be the way forward, and I think things are only going to get more advanced. Maybe a few years down the line, we'll have AI pick up even more, right? So again, see, as the trend towards automation and artificial intelligence will increase, if you start off with a base which is already in analytics, that switch for you will be easier, right? So the amount of reskilling or upskilling that you would have to do, the quantum of that would be lesser if you are taking off from something like a business analytics base as graduation. So I won't be able to speak for 20-25 years, but at least in the coming 5-10 years, we see that all domains, be it marketing, be it operations, or be it healthcare, be it public policy, all these are going to have immense impact of digital, internet, online. And I think that is the way forward, and we need to be prepared for that.
So Sahib, I have one question that he wanted to understand what exact major subjects are covered in the BPA course which you mentioned earlier.
At our university?
Yes.
Sure, I'll do that. So see, as part of the BBA program, it's a 3-year program. And in this 3-year program, there is a very balanced mix of business management and analytics focused courses that you would be able to take up. So all the core business courses, be it marketing management, financial accounting, financial management, operations, supply chain management, your consumer behavior, business economics, all those courses you would be taking up. And in addition to that, you will have some analytics focused courses, right, which you would be doing as part of the specialization. So those courses will equip you, one, with the tools that are typically used in analytics that as a business analyst you should be adept at using, like Microsoft Excel and Tableau, and maybe a little bit of R and Python, SQL, coding, right? Very, very little coding, right? So you won't become a coder at the end of the program, but you will have, you will be able to develop as much skill as would be required to be able to communicate with the tech back office of your company, right? So all these tools will get covered. Then all major techniques for analytics will be covered as part of the curriculum. So be it the descriptive analytics or predictive analytics or prescriptive analytics, all those will be covered. Yeah. So I mean, it's a fair balanced mix between both the data side, the data oriented decision making, and the business management.
So Harsh, I have a question that is there any possibility for BBA after BMS in business analytics?
So I think Vikram, would you like to take this question?
Thank you, Divya. I would definitely love to take this question. See, you need to understand when you talk of BMS or when you talk of BBM or when you talk of BBA honors, most important factor as a student for all of you here is to understand and go through the curriculum. Ultimately, these are all different forms of bachelor's degree. Analytics over here is a specialization, just like anybody is specializing in the field of, let's say, marketing. Or if you say, I am specializing in the field of HR. Likewise is analytics. But yes, analytics is the need of the hour. And to summarize, if you say, after doing my BMS, can I do BBA in business analytics? It means you are planning to do 2 bachelor's degree, which of course nobody would be planning to do. So if you really want to make a career in the field of analytics, at different age times, you have different options. For example, if you go to my age, and if I want to do something now, I won't be doing a bachelor's or a master's. Since I am already working, I would be probably doing a certification course, which may be from 6 months to 1 year, or maybe I can do an executive MBA course. But for your age, if you are at 17, 18 years of time, and if you have an option, you should start building your career right there from graduation itself. But then if you are planning to make a career in the field of analytics, and if you go with a bachelor's degree, it would always make sense if you move in the same direction. Am I right, Divya? Because there is no point if you do.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I mean. I also found the question a little confusing, because if I don't know whether you're already enrolled in a BMS program or you're already pursuing it, but eventually if you're enrolled and you want to continue with that program, then I think after you complete your BMS, you can do a master's in analytics, and that master's could be in the form of an MSc or an MBA, right, depending on what your interest is. But doing 2 bachelor's degrees, and that too in very, very related, I mean, that's I think BMS is bachelor's of management studies, right? So after so a BMS would be similar to a generic BBA, right? The kind of skills that you could have gained there would be similar to a generic BBA. So after that, you can specialize at a master's level. I don't think there's much sense. In fact, I think it would actually be wastage of time if you do another BBA in analytics. Better option would be to go in for a master's degree in this case.
So there's one question. Yeah, sorry.
I was just going through the questions, and I found a very interesting question which probably has not been taken right now, but I would like to definitely answer that question. And let me first go back. Just give me a second. So I'm not sure whether the student who has asked this question is right now present and attending, but the question goes like this. why do Jindal not have a proper method of taking in students? I think this somebody with the name of Falak Shah has taken up this question, and then he says, I have seen that every student who gives the entrance exam and the interview of Jindal Business School gets an offer. So I intentionally thought of, I could have definitely avoided this question, but in the larger interest, to help all of you who are listening over here should understand, first of all, why Jindal is called as a Jindal Global University or is said to be a Jindal Global Business School. The place where you all are today, sitting, maybe passing out 12th or appearing in 12th, me, Professor Divya, we all have been students almost 20 years before, if I'm not sure of Professor Divya, but I did schooling way back in 1997. And I tell you, it is the mindset of the students in our country that they presume that marks are everything. You are made to believe that if you score 90% in class 10th, or if you score now nothing less than 90 in 12th, it is not good. And the selection process, or you can say how you determine the quality of admissions in any institution, is dependent on how many students you reject. Friends, this is not a right practice. In Jindal Business School, I am the director of admissions. And I would like to tell you 3 things which any good institution would always focus on. First of all, your marks are not the only criteria to determine who you are in your professional career. What you score in class 10th and 12th is just one part of it. As an institution, you are our brand ambassadors. Jindal Global University was started in year 2009, and in 2020, it became an institution of eminence. Only in 1 decade, it came up, it emerged as a leader in the changing world of education in India. It stands among the top 700 universities of the world as per the QS rankings. That itself shows that probably what we are doing in Jindal, either in terms of our selection processes, in terms of evaluating who you are you a right fit for us, or in terms of teaching you what is required, is very different from all 90 or 95% of the colleges which have been traditionally doing in India. We have selections on first come first basis. You fill the application form, you go ahead with the entrance exam, you give the interview, and if we are finalizing you, that is, we are of course seeing that you have that fire, that you can be my brand ambassador. I don't have that selection process that one fine day in a year, there are 10,000 or 2,000 students giving my entrance exam, and then I go ahead with this kind of a interview process for 10 days, 12 days, and even saying that, okay, fine, I will select only 95%. Who says that if any student has got 80% or 75% in class 12 cannot do better in the life? Is there any scientific tool which specifies that scoring 75 will not lead to 80 or 85 in your graduation? So please come out of this nutshell and expand your thinking, your personality, your communication, your confidence. That determines your success along with your academic excellence. We are very proud of our selection process, and we know whom we have to select or reject. But let me tell you, Falak, as I can see the question was in the name of Falak, I do remember that you did apply in Jindal, and I think you also got an offer. But getting an offer or getting an admission in Jindal or any good institution is just a starting. We are here to give you right education, right platform. How you shape your career in the next 3 years determines our brand image also. And if within a span of 10 years, Jindal has broken those barriers nationally and internationally, it is a testimony that what is our aspiration. You all are looking for a good college, and any good college is looking for a good student. But mind you, how you have been fed till now is not the future. Your marks are not everything. Who says that after getting 90%, if you are not able to speak for even 1 minute properly, you are the best student? You should develop that confidence in you, and ultimately it is not your fault. All of you, and in fact, we all, when we studied, we were made to believe by the Indian society and the school education that nothing less than 80 was a very good thing in my time. Nowadays, everybody is seeing you get 90, 95. If you are not getting 95, there is nothing left. This is not the right practice. So please expand your thinking and have confidence on yourself. Over to you, Viren, if there are any other questions, but I wanted to specifically answer this question because time has changed. We all students, we all parents, we want to go into the 22nd century, but we are living in 20th century, and questions like these, they are just a testimony of our thinking what happened in 17th or 18th century. We are not able to change with the time. Look for future and look for what is exactly required from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vikram, for answering this. I think this is very well justified and explained in a very diplomatic manner. Thank you for that. So I'll take up another question. So there is one anonymous attendee which is asking that if someone comes from a technical background, does this business analytics BBA help them, give them some sort of differ others?
A technical background, I'm not too sure what you mean, because I mean for the so you're at 12th level, you're coming from a technical background. I can't understand it very well, but I'll just answer generically. If you have say you've been interested in the technical domain earlier, I'm assuming that you're somebody who's completed class 12, and you've had electives, or you took optionals of computer science, or something related to data analysis, or something like that, then obviously to a certain extent I think you might find it easy to start off. But I think that people who do not come from this kind of technical background are not disadvantaged. So I think by the end of the program, it becomes almost a level playing field, right? Because the technical aspect, as I mentioned earlier, is just one small part of business analytics. The essentiality that you would bring to a company after you've completed a program in business analytics is your business skill, where you will be applying analytics to solve business problems, right? So as I mentioned earlier, that after becoming or after when you join at an entry level position as a manager in a company, after having completed your BBA in business analytics, your role would be different from the role that somebody who has a BSc in computer science or BSc in business analytics, right? Those people would be taking more back, as we call them, back end roles, right? Where they're doing the actual crunching, number crunching, analysis, all of those things. You will be the face of the company, right? So you will be the one who will be representing the company everywhere. You will be the one who will be talking to clients, or to even internally, you will be the one who will be converting the business needs into a more technical jargon that can then be used by these BTech or BSc people to do the number crunching. So you will basically be guiding them and telling them what needs to be done right? Because you are the one who has the business skill and the business understanding. So you tell them what needs to be done. So at the end of the day, I think just, having a little bit of extra technical know-how would be something good to have, but it will not put you at too much of an advantage. And similarly, if you don't have it, it doesn't put you at a disadvantage.
I would like to add one thing over here. In addition to what Professor Divya has mentioned, students, you need to understand that every kind of a career has certain background of people who are working behind it. So in the field of analytics, you are not a coder. You are not doing the job of a coding, which probably a BTech computer science graduate or an MCA person would be technically doing. Suppose if there are 3 people and Professor Divya happens to be a coder and Mr. Viren happens to be coming from a business background, and I am a person who is a management graduate in the field of business analytics. So I am the bridge between Mr. Viren and Professor Divya, who is a coder. So Professor Divya, suppose if she has done BTech in computer science, she has all the technical know-how of coding and programming, correct? As a client, Mr. Viren may not be a computer science person at all. What his business requirements are in the form of analyzing the data. I, as a person who come from a background of business analytics in management domain, will help Professor Divya to understand the requirements of client. She will do the data mining, and I would be the person who would be eventually presenting it in the form of a presentation so that the client understands and is able to come to a conclusion of how the understanding of data into different parameters would help him to expand his business. And that is basically the purpose. So if I have to just explain you in a nutshell, suppose Domino's want to come up with 50 new outlets in India. If that is their business expansion strategy, the basic question is which all states, first of all, they would be targeting. In those states, which are the cities they would be targeting? What would be the paying capacity of those people? When you zero down the cities, then eventually you have to figure out where in that city will that outlet be opened, because there is a cost which is involved in terms of taking it on rent or a lease. Then the guy from the HR will tell, okay, fine, one outlet of Domino's would require 10 people, 2 into the back end, 3 into the front, and likewise. So this is, you need to understand, one person is an interface. You are not a technical guy who will be doing the coding and all. So forget about all those technical things, any technical knowledge I need to know. In school level, what you do, technical is only computer science. Apart from that, there is nothing called as technical. So don't fear for it. But yes, you should not have a problem with the numbers. You should not have a phobia of maths. So that is the answer, just to add to what Professor Divya also mentioned. Any other questions if you have?
Yeah, there's one. A lot of students are asking about the complete admission process and what are the fees for the BBA program at Jindal.
So we are the first university, first of all, to start an undergraduate course in BBA honors and business analytics. And when we launched this course this year, the application process is online. You have to go to the Jindal Business School website. You have to fill your online application form. There is an entrance exam with the name of JSAT, Jindal Scholastic Aptitude Test. It is conducted by Pearson India, and it's like any other entrance exam with multiple choice questions, English, logical reasoning, and basic 10th level mathematics. Minimum 50% marks are required to qualify the JSAT exam. There is no negative marking in the JSAT exam. If you clear the JSAT exam, you would be going ahead with the PI round, personal interview. Personal interviews happen over Skype. And if you are found convinced by our selection committee, we will offer you an admission and you are there. We have already started our online classes from 16th of August, and this first cohort of the BBA Honors in Business Analytics program has a class size of 40 students. As of now, we are done with almost more than 90% of our students for this cohort of 40 students. And if in case you wish to apply, you should act fast. To make our program more futuristic, and as the middle name goes, OP Jindal Global University, we went in a collaboration with Deakin University, Australia this year, where we are offering a 2+2 pathway program. The students who have any aspirations for a study abroad opportunity, they would get it in the form of doing the first 2 years of their BBA in Jindal. And if they are shortlisted, there is a selection process based on your performance over here, and you may go to Australia at Deakin University for completing your 3rd and 4th year of your study. Then you will be paying your tuition fees, you will be bearing your expenses for your 3rd and 4th year at Deakin University, Australia. And those who choose to remain in India, finish their studies, they would be completing their bachelor's from India itself. But there are 2 questions which are very important to understand over here. First of all, why Deakin? Why did we sign up with Deakin? So Deakin University is the first university to launch the program in business analytics in Australia in year 2013. So when we were deciding to launch this course in India, we were looking for a partner who has a proper expertise and background in running the course. And we thought, who best can be other than the Deakin University for this platform? And second, if you talk about major universities in US who accepts 16 years of education, then with the Deakin University, you are having that 16 years of education degree. You may apply for a green card at Australia, because Australian Immigration Services, they say that a student, in order to have a work permit, in order to go for permanent residency, they should have been in Australia for 2 years of study. So we looked at various options, how we can synergize our MOUs to the best of use to all of you. And apart from this, you would get many other opportunities, because we always aim to give you the best of education at a competitive price. Our tuition fees for this program is 4.5 lakhs per annum. It is paid semester wise. And that's it. I think I have covered the fee structure, the selection process, everything. But only one suggestion: if you are if you have not decided about the admission, and if you look forward to apply, please do not waste time, because already around 18 days of classes have already gone, and you should not lose out time. That's it from my side. So we have taken the fee structure, we have taken the selection process. Sham wants to know, what will a good application look like according to Jindal? Sham, a good application, first of all, every application is good. There is nothing good or bad. There are some colleges, there are some students who feel that there is a statement of purpose, which probably some of the students, they take external help from some agencies. Some people are working and they write your statement of purpose and you upload it into different colleges. My personal advice is, please refrain from doing all those things. What do you feel? Professors like Divya, professors like us sitting on the other side of the application, don't we recognize how the application has been drafted or not? Is it the words or the thinking of a class 12 student? So that actually backfires. Who you are, that is most important to present in the right way. If you want to apply to business analytics, you must understand first of all, what is analytics? Join the official Facebook page of Jindal Global Business School. Join the LinkedIn page of Jindal Business School. You should know why you are coming to Jindal. It is not that I am simply saying or you are attending this webinar, you should plan and apply for Jindal. First, convince yourself. And that information which you will get over there is of your seniors and your alumni. From there, you will come to know what is the vision and mission statement of JGBS. And we are there. And any advice for Jindal entrance test? Yes, as I mentioned, there is no negative marking. We just look for minimum 50% cutoff. There are 3 sections. Don't waste your time. If you are not able to answer any one question, you just need to understand that question carries only 1 mark. Many of the students, what they are missing out is they keep on attempting a question for 10 odd minutes. They are wasting the marks which they can secure for 9 questions. We are checking your aptitude basically. That if out of 120 questions, if you have attempted 100 questions, and out of 100, if you have managed to get 50%, isn't it much better than attempting all 120 questions? That is our selection process. We check for your aptitude, we check for your interest, we check for very simple questions. Why Jindal? It may appear to you as a very simple question that I was asked only 3 questions. The first question which was asked to me, why do you want to come to Jindal? Why do you want to do business analytics? And you will come out of the interview, you will say, my interview lasted for only 5 minutes. Or do you think if in an interview, the interviewer makes you cry, if you have tears flowing down, then only the interview was serious? You have to give a thought to what I told you just now. I don't know whether you understood what I'm trying to convey or not, but please understand it from a wider perspective. We just need to know who you are. That's it. And for that, I don't need to spend 25 minutes or 30 minutes to understand. You can convince me in 2 minutes whether you have that fire or not. So I think we have already overshot with the time. 15 minutes have already passed on. And friends, students, parents, if anybody are listening to us, whether you join Jindal or not, that is secondary. As educators, we feel our primary responsibility is to help you understand what does a future look like. And if you have those skills right now, you need to brush those skills. If you don't have those skills, you should understand how you can develop those skills. Correct? Not everybody is your competitor. You need to understand marks are not everything to determine who you are. But yes, we are here as a support system to guide you, to mentor you, and make you future ready. That is the only responsibility as a university we hold. And if you are doing good in your studies, if you are committed, if you are consistent, then the game is over. When the right time will come, you will outshine everyone. But before that, don't think of placement. Think of performance. If performance is coming, placement will come. But if you are not performing, no matter how much good opportunity, how much good curriculum, teachers I am able to provide to you, you will not be doing justice with your future. Do not hesitate to reach out to me. If you want to connect with me, discuss anything personal, you can take my number from sir as well, and I can type my number on the chat box. Many a times I have seen students and parents, they always want to ask questions separately. Many students feel confident that I will ask this question separately and not in front of everyone. So I am always available on WhatsApp. Most of the time my phone is going busy. I have already written my number over there. So please connect with me. Do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions to ask about Jindal or outside Jindal. That is not a problem. I've been in education for 17 odd years. After completing my MBA, I have been working with universities of repute in India, and at least I will not tell you anything. If you please don't ask me questions like, sir, is this university much better? Should I join this university or should I join that university? I'm telling you, I will not answer that question. That is not against my ethics. I will never tell you come and join Jindal University because we are the best. So you should expand your questions, which should be logical. You should understand that focus on colleges or institutions, looking at the teachers, looking at the curriculum. Don't get carried away with the infrastructure or how big the campus is. You will not take that 20 acres extra if anybody is giving you 120 acres of campus, or if somebody is giving you 100 acres of campus. What you will take away after 3 years is the knowledge which will come from the teachers. Is it clear to all of you? I may be a bit straightforward, but yes, that is my style. That is who I am. And I never hesitate in speaking the truth, but be happy, stay focused, and stay positive. Over to you, Viren.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vikram. I am very sure that with the genuine kind of knowledge what you have given and Professor Divya has given, everyone will have ample of takeaways from the session. And a lot of eyebrows might have been come up looking at the traditional kind of opportunities what we had. And now with the digital technology, what new jobs are coming up. I'm very sure that with this knowledge, all the students and the parents with them will have a very good say about their future, and they'll take the right steps in future. And another thing I want to mention is this is very great opportunity for all the students that Vikram sir himself has given his contact info. If you have any genuine queries, please go and ask him. And also there is a link where you can enroll for the one-on-one counseling session, which is completely complimentary. So please take these note, and I'm very sure you will have a wonderful session. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Vikram sir, again.
Thank you, parents, for joining us on this lovely Sunday morning. And thank you, IMS. You have all been doing a good job helping these students. They are our future. They are the future of India, and they all need right guidance at right time. That is what you all need. And we are doing our best. The place where you are today, we all were at some point of the time. You are our future, and we want that you should go in the safe direction. Do not hesitate of hard work. We all have to do hard work, and with hard work, we need to do smart work now. All the best. God bless you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks everyone.